What's up, beautiful people? Kirby Hasseman here, and today I want to talk to you about 4 creative ways to improve your hiring process. The fact is, we all want great team members. We need great team members in order to have a great team, but I think a lot of companies are really struggling right now to hire the best talent, and when they get the best talent, they're struggling to maintain the best talent. So today, in our practice of working with companies to help them attract and retain the best team members, these are 4 sort of creative, maybe some of them sort of counterintuitive ways for you and your team to attract the best talent and keep the best talent. So let's dive in right now. Number 1, create creative content and branding. Now you might be thinking, look, I think when we think of hiring, we go right to the process where it's like, okay, we've got our job description, it's time for people to hire, and we go right to that process. But the reality of it is people reply, people start to create an impression of you and your organization long before they might apply or send in a resume or anything like that. And so the content you create, the branding you create actually plays a big role. And the fact of the matter is when you're out there creating content and creating things that tell your story, not only your purpose, but your culture, then you align with people who would be interested in doing the kind of work that you guys do, and then also kind of being a part of an organization that you are. I actually had a conversation one time when I was coaching a client, and they were an herbalist company, and when I read their job description, it was incongruent with, the kind of organization they were. It was much more corporate speak, and I was like, no, write this job description in the way that you are. So when you are consistent across your branding, when you tell your story in a fun way, if you are a fun company, you're more likely to attract the kind of employee, team member that you want. The example I would use within our own organization is at Hasseman Marketing, we do a show called Thirsty Thursday on the web, and it's funny, we try a mystery drink out of a piece of branded drinkware because we sell branded drinkware. And so my goal, a part of that was, of course, to maybe sell some branded drinkware. But a funny thing happened on the way to creating that content is that people started to see that, and we are irreverent. We give very authentic answers to whether or not we like stuff. There might be a little bit of cursing. And what happened is we started to attract people who wanted to work in that kind of environment. So if you're in the HR space or in the leadership space, make sure you're working with your marketing team to at least consider posting about purpose and culture on a consistent basis, not just talking about the marketing side of your content and branding, but talking about the culture side of your marketing branding. So that's number 1, sort of a counterintuitive way to help your hiring is to improve your content and your branding. Number 2, have a hiring funnel that looks like a sales funnel. Again, I think one of the challenges that a lot of organizations make is they put that hiring, they put out the job posting, and then they get some applications, and they've got somebody who's trying to do it kind of part-time, and so they get somebody in, and it might take a week before they get back to them. And the reality of it is the best people are going to have multiple options and multiple offers. You need to have a hiring funnel that looks like a sales funnel. There needs to be urgency in the way that you get back to people. Yes, that's hard because we all have other things we need to do, but if you want to have the best prospects, then you need to treat it as if every potential employee is a prospect. Have a plan to communicate with them consistently and respectfully. The reality of it is when you don't do that, the best people are going to look at your organization differently and say, well, they didn't respect me during the hiring process, so how are they going to treat me once they get me in the door? So create a hiring funnel that looks a little bit more like a sales funnel, and when you do that, you'll get more consistent results. Number 3, it's time to engage your team. So often, the best people who could spread the word about a job opportunity in your organization are the people who are already on your team. And we really ignore that a lot of the time, and especially those who, if you have created a culture where people enjoy working there or have been there for a long time or they're proud of the purpose and the mission, you need to give them permission to be brand ambassadors. And there's a bunch of ways that you can do this. Is number 1, just let them know that you're looking for people just like them. Reaching out to your internal people, the people who are your rock stars internally, and saying, hey, do you have any friends? Do you have any loved ones who are just like you? They have similar values. I think the best team members They might have family members that need a job, but if they really respect the organization and the mission, they aren't going to recommend them unless they fit the values and the mission. They aren't going to recommend somebody who isn't a hard worker if hard work is what the whole organization values, because they know that their brand will go down, right? So utilize them. One of the ways to do that is create some sort of internal referral program. Maybe if you have somebody that they refer and they get a team member that comes on, maybe they get an extra vacation day, or they get an extra piece of swag, or they get a little bonus. Create something that is intentional and on purpose and consistent, so that you have a group of people who are your ambassadors. And then as a part of that, create some branded merchandise that they're excited to wear. You want them out and repping the brand all the time. I think so many times we create stuff that is the uniform material, and I think that's really important. I think that when you have a polo shirt or something like that that they wear as a uniform, that's great. But man, I want to create something that they want to wear to dinner. They want to wear to local events. They want to wear it out because it's cool. It actually has some fashion value. And when they do that, they're going to get the opportunity to have conversations in your community, in your area, where somebody says, okay, you work for this company. I've seen their content. What are they like? And now you engage them in giving them the opportunity to tell your story as an organization for them. And number 4, train and elevate. As leaders, we know this to be true, and the best leaders we want that training, right? We want to go to those conferences. We want to take those courses. But I think sometimes we get a little bit cheap when it comes to having our team do it. I had an interesting experience recently where my daughter, who works for our team, came to me and said, hey, there's this emerging leaders event in our industry, and I would like to go to it. And there was a price tag for it, and there was travel, and there was hotels and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, yes, we should. I did what we all do. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a little bit expensive and times are tight. But I'm like, no, this is a place where we can invest. And I will tell you, she came back so energized, and she came back with new goals. People at that event challenged her to think bigger about her own career and about our organization. And the best employees, the best team members want to elevate themselves. They want to be trained. They want to be challenged. And the thing about it is that goes back to engaging your team. That goes back to step 3. When they are trained and elevated and excited, they tell their story not only to the other team members, but then they want to tell their story, tell your story, tell the organization's story to everyone they see. So those are 4 maybe counterintuitive ways to help your hiring. It has to do with your content and your branding. It has to do with creating a hiring funnel that looks like a sales funnel. It has to do with engaging your team so that they can become your brand ambassadors. And finally, it talks about training and elevating your current team members. And if you do those 4 things and you do them consistently, I believe that when you have a position, some hiring that you need to do, it's going to make your life so much easier. Now, I hope this provided you a little bit of value. If so, please feel free to share and subscribe, and we'll keep them coming.